Welcome back to the channel. We're going to give you the rundown going into this coming week on AMC. Everything you need to know for Monday going all the way into Friday and what I expect to happen, especially in the beginning of this week, opening up tomorrow. Now, there's a lot of things I want to cover. I haven't covered the BlackRock purchase of AMC stock. I haven't covered Pelosi apparently buying AMC stock. And then I haven't covered a few other things as well. So I want to dive into all the news that a lot of people have been requesting me to cover because I like to think before I speak typically. But let's not waste any more time. Like, subscribe, do what you gotta do. Patreon link down in the description, by the way. Let's get to it. So the first thing I want to do is cover a news article. Now, typically all the articles we're getting are pretty bad when it comes to AMC, GME, or any of these meme stocks, if you will. But this one takes a little bit of a different toll. And they're talking about the outline of how they're going to do over the coming year, because there's a few bullish analysts coming out now on AMC saying they're going to produce about $1.2 billion in revenue this year alone. And if you saw what quarter number one was, it was actually below 200 mil, or like just above 200 mil. So it was right in that range. So they really have to start producing in the next few quarters. Adam Aaron touched specifically on this in the earnings call as well, saying that quarter number three was going to be the very big quarter. But we still have quarter number two coming up as well as the next earnings, quarter number three, and then obviously quarter number four. So I want to go over this article because this touches on some very good numbers, and you know I like my numbers. So as we look here, they come out with more of a pessimistic viewpoint on the company, and I'm all for pessimistic viewpoints because I believe you should expect the worst, but if the best happens, God bless. And I am sorry, I misquoted right here. 2.44 billion is the estimated worth of this year, so you know, and then at 4.76 billion in 2022. So it still has a lot of ground to cover, and I'm going to say right now, I do believe it can do it based on a few things that we're going to talk about right now. So what they do is they mention their best year that they had, which was 2019, the year before the pandemic. And when that happened, they produced 5.47 billion. And then in quarter number one, it was actually one of their lowest producing quarters of that year, was 1.2 billion. So obviously they perform better over the next few months. Typically, summer's a really hot time for movies, and then you get the end of the year movies coming out as well. Beginning of the year is never really that hot for movies, just historically speaking. So that's important to know as far as brand new releases. So they're giving these numbers, and I want to say right now, because we've already seen the data from the earnings call as well, going over when you're coming back to theaters right now, you're spending more than ever when it comes to popcorn, food, nachos, whatever it may be, the $30 drink, ice to the brim, and just barely any soda, and they get you on the refills, I'm telling you. So that's what it feels like, but people are coming in and they're spending more money than ever. So that's already statistically being put out there. Quarter number one, the sales for popcorn, the sales for the concessions were through the roof. Now, maybe ticket numbers weren't that high yet due to some of the restrictions still set in place. However, it's showing that when tickets do come back in, let's say they even reach 50% capacity, the numbers are going to be so high, close to these numbers when they were at 100% capacity, just because of how much people are spending on concessions. And that's important to throw into account here. And I believe that's what Adam Aaron's doing when they're giving out these expectations. And I know you probably like this video more than my others because I'm a lot more bullish in this one. Numero dos. Let's talk about Fintel and BlackRock. We see BlackRock shares have increased to 27 million. Double, triple downing, whatever you want to call it. Hedges are getting back in. You're getting hedges on our team as well. You say you hate the hedges, but guess what? It takes one to know one, and I'm glad to say we got some coming on our side as well. But this leads me into the next topic that everyone's talking about as well. It's going to be Nancy Pelosi, and I know I didn't cover BlackRock too much. I'll come back to that here in a sec. Nancy Pelosi, everyone's saying that they're buying AMC stock. False, fake news. Her husband bought it's somewhat of an ETF that have some AMC in the portfolio. So she didn't buy directly into AMC stock. It's not like BlackRock buying directly AMC stock. She bought like an ETF that has some AMC inside of it. Does it help the cause? Yes. Is it super strong for AMC? I don't believe so. It's just kind of like wishful thinking, in my opinion. I just don't see it being that huge of news, just to know that. So come back to BlackRock. This is going to be big because you're getting more people buying as well. And so we saw with AMC selling those shares, that 17 million shares. They probably have sold a few more. Who knows how many they've sold so far. As that's happening, we're seeing institutions buying those up because I believe what this earnings call is doing, even though the earnings are bad, and this is what I was mentioning in the earnings, you can miss on EPS, you can miss on revenue, it doesn't really matter if you have a strong enough outlook. And the outlook that AMC is presenting to its investors is one that's absolutely bullish. Now, I understand he's being a little bit dramatic, Adam Aaron, and some of you might like it, some of you might not like it. It is what it is. But he's very strong on the company nonetheless. They have a clear-cut plan. They're looking for expansion. So it's just looking like revenues are going to keep increasing, and bankruptcy is inevitably off the table completely 100%. It's not going to happen in 4 years, 5 years. It's looking like it's not going to happen at all. He's not going to let it happen. And then the possibility of a buyout also looks like they don't even want to do a buyout. They love the company. They love who they are and what they are. So you love a company that loves who they are as well. So they're not even interested in making a penny off of the sell, in my opinion. They just want to succeed as a company, which is something that's good. Now, if they did get a buyout, it would make us a lot of money as well. If you're holding options or stock, it would make you a lot of money. But it's encouraging to know that they just love the company, and I want to highlight that. So institutions are getting back behind that because they're 100% into the company as well. So that's really encouraging to see. So even when AMC sells off, I mean, they're just getting bought right up. I mean, that's incredible to see, and that's why when we look at the borrow rate, and I'm going to try not to cover this too much because I've covered it so much in the other videos, but that's why it's so high, and that's why we're maintaining these such key levels, why it's so expensive to be shorting right now. Going into Monday, it's looking extremely promising. So just the first thing looking at the chart is going to be the OBV, and this is the on-balance volume, typically showing how investors are actually playing the stock and not just showing the manipulated viewpoint as sometimes the candles may show us. So when you're looking at the stock and you're seeing a big drop, the on-balance volume could still be remaining very high, and this could just be a bull or a bear trap. So that's why I recommend always checking out the OBV, because it does a really good job at showing which direction we're actually going and how investor sentiment is on the stock. So as you can see, we are getting that flag breaking out of it as well, like we mentioned in the previous video, getting that clear break. I see us moving back up to the upside coming Monday. I see volume flowing in as well. We've also checked the volume on Yahoo Finance, and it's showing for the last week it's been completely nullified. And this is the same type of movement we had when we bounced from that $8 range the last time, moving all the way back up to 12. So I'm curious to see how strong we start moving this week alone. And this is just a recap because I have been covering this, but I don't know who's new, who's not new, and I just want to recover what I expect to happen in this upcoming week and why I'm so strong in it. So as you can see, we were holding this 8.86 range, almost getting a double bottom a little bit deeper on that second touch. Got a gap up from that range, flagging, coming out of it sideways, and now we're getting back above VWAP, which is something we love to see. I want to see that 10.2 range. You've heard me say it plenty of times. 10.2 is the range we want to test on Monday morning. If we get a clear-cut break above it, I'm very strong. I want to see this flip and become an SR with the SR flip, and that stands for support and resistance. So right now it's a resistance, but once it breaks through, it will then become a support for bouncing, and that's what we want, that to become a major SR level, and that's what I'm looking for specifically on AMC. There's nothing too heavy to be covering here. The volume looks very strong. Institutions are backing into it. The only thing that could really bring us down is if AMC starts to sell a little bit more shares, but then in my opinion, just about how we've been moving based on that, it doesn't seem like that's going to drag down the stock, in my opinion. Just those 26 million shares. That 17 million did push us down, but we quickly got bought back up. The borrow rate's back at those high levels, almost 30%. It's looking extremely lucrative and promising on AMC stock, especially on the options end. All right, so I know I didn't go too in depth on some of the things. I like to make the videos very short, to the point, cover them as briefly and as concisely as possible. If you have any questions, please comment down below. I'll try to answer them as quickly, as efficiently as possible. I'll probably be doing a live stream later on tonight around 7 p.m. Central. So check that out if you want. We'll be going over any chart, AMC, maybe even some Doge. Just kidding. But all jokes aside, I think we're going to start seeing some of this money possibly flowing back in from crypto, maybe into AMC, maybe into GME, because more traction is coming behind these as well. Although it is looking like the year of crypto. So keep your heads on a swivel. Trading is looking very primed for the coming week. I'll have a video coming out of the top options trades going into this week as well, and what I'm looking for specifically in the market. Have a good one, traders. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Namaste.